Hi, welcome to the Cultural Barrier. My name's Belle.
And my name's Taj.
On this week's episode, we'll be discussing, are we good role models for our younger generations? Sorry. Are we good role? Why can't I talk? Are
Because
we good?
this is showing what kind of role you model. I can't talk now.
Are we good role models for our children and other young people? That is what the topic is today. That is the topic. And I know I changed it. Are we good role models? Us? Or our generation? That's the question. Taj, hit me.
Yes. We are.
We're done. Not joking. Go on.
So I think the word good role model, what does it actually mean?
So basically, you're a bad role model and you're just dressing it up.
For example, if I swear in front of my children, this is about perspective. If I swear in front of my children, am I a bad role model because I'm not teaching them more vocabulary? Or am I a good role model because you're teaching them how to react when someone's horrible to them if they swear at them?
Fair point. I mean, as long as you go. But it is a question, actually. Like, at what age do you teach your kids certain swear words?
Because now, because you swear, I've started swearing. So my kids have started dropping in some swear words. And I'm like, no, I don't like it. So I'm trying.
I like how you did that. You turned it on me.
But it's true. Even my kids say Marcy swears a lot. Anyway,
you're teaching them bad things.
I am. So that's why I'm like, no, you can't swear. But I'm like, I'm swearing. So why am I telling them not to swear? So I need to stop swearing, which I'm not doing so much of now because I'm being really thinking.
And you started to talk to me less.
That is true.
But you know what? So I've got the same problem actually. Things just pop into my mouth, and I'm just like, even the other day. So I went running, and then at the end I was by myself, and then one of my friends came up, and she was filming me, and I was like, oh my god! The first thing that came out of my mouth was a swear word, and then I realized it was her afterwards. And then her kids were in the back of the car. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. You thought it was someone else.
I don't know what I thought. I don't even know if I thought it was a stranger doing it. I don't know what I thought. But anyway, the first thing that came out of my mouth was a swear word. I do agree. It's the habits that you get into. And I find when I'm more stressed, I do tend to do it more. Right now, I'm not that stressed. I'm good. Less swear words. You can talk to me. But when the kids have started to do it, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. And I've noticed, especially my daughter, she's started to do it even more than my son. And I think she's got that habit from me. I do actually think that I'm going to take the hit.
Okay, so what other things do you think that we need to be mindful of or we should do to be good role models? For example, I talk to my daughter about quite a lot of things openly.
That's nice of you.
And then I think, should I be talking to her about everything?
So I was talking about you last week. I haven't told you this. We were talking about social media and how open we are with our kids, and this was exactly it. And you are very open with your daughter, and we've had conversations where like, are you really talking to her about it? Is that encouraging her in a certain way? But then you've said actually at least she's not deleting her WhatsApp messages, which happens with kids as well, and I get that. And I'm like, actually I've come around to think,
what do you mean I've been open? What have I been open about?
Like she will tell you if she fancies someone, for example, or something like that, and whether you should be having those conversations with your daughter or whether you're encouraging that sort of behavior, because obviously you don't want her to.
And my point of view on that is everyone goes through it. It's a chemistry thing. But what I've explained to her is the science behind why it happens.
So you made it so boring. She's like, forget, I don't even want it.
Yes, because in our community and at the moment, I don't think, and I don't want her to currently the way I'm thinking, I don't want her to be going out with someone in a relationship kind of way. So I want her to be open with me and not do it behind my back.
Yeah.
So I need to explain to her why she's having these emotions and what she's going through, and it's not wrong. Before she started her secondary school, I said, this is going to happen, and that's what happened. So
do you think you're the oracle?
Yes, I wanted her to think that, so she knows that it's not something, oh my God, this is only something that I've been through.
It's funny, but the teenage years are like that. And I am actually dreading, and this is one thing I've been really open. My kids are younger than that, but I am dreading going through the teenage years because already you can see the attitudes coming out, and you're like right now, it's fine. You live under my roof. You eat my food. I make your food. Although last week, twice it happened. I was making food. My son was proper stroppy, and he'd be like, and I was like, "I'm making your food. Stop being so rude." Da, da, da. And he's like, "It's your job," and I'm like,
Whoa.
"Is it my job though?" Or should you be doing it? You're old enough to start cooking.
That.
And then I saw and then I saw something on social media. Apparently, there was a movie. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Denzel Washington. I can't remember who it was, but basically, they were saying it's my job to look after you. And why do you think I do it? It's my job. That was it. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Then my son was right. I don't know. Sorry, go on.
So talking about gender roles and stuff like that. So my son goes, I go to him, I want you to come shopping with me, like grocery shopping. And
No one wants to do that.
yeah, but he goes, no, only women do that. I was like, where did he get that from?
But it's what he's seeing. Like, we can say all we want, and he said that
Go shopping. Like when he wants to get food for himself, he'll go shopping. When he's on his little diet things, he'll go every day if he needs to. So it's not what he's seeing.
no, I don't agree. Because I've had this conversation about making food, and my son said the same. Son said the same thing. Of I'm going to get married so my wife can cook me. I'm like, and it's what they're seeing because I'm cooking most of the time. Yes, Suk does cook on the rare occasion, and he'll make something really nice, and his food is, and he does like enjoy it. But it's on the rare occasion. Like you're saying the same thing. You're going shopping. He's only going on the rare occasion. But it's the constant things that are a habit that they're feeding on, regardless of what we're saying.
And I'm like, I felt like, oh my God, what am I teaching my son? This is so wrong that he said that. And he was serious. It wasn't even a joke.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just a way to get out of it, like whatever. But I'm like, yeah, because then I didn't take him because I thought he's just going to be so moany and sometimes.
Yeah, but then you've encouraged that. Going back to role model stuff, you've just said.
Right, he didn't say anything last time when I took him, and he enjoyed it. He was riding around, when you play in the trolley and you go crazy on it.
Yeah.
So I think it might be just a way to get out of it, because last time he came with me, he didn't moan about it. Maybe I didn't buy him a present or something, and that's why he thought, oh, why am I going to go to it this time? But anyway.
So coming back to the question of, are we good role models? It does bring it, because so we've had very similar experiences in certain things, and we can say whatever we want about what we think society and what our kids, and especially our sons and daughters, should be learning and how they should be conducted. But essentially, it's the everyday that is actually impacting them. It doesn't matter what's coming out of here; it's what they're seeing. Is what we're seeing.
Like, for example, he hasn't said that about food, like cooking food, because my brother-in-law cooks some really nice food. And
it's funny how you didn't say it about your husband, but you said about your brother-in-law.
Nice food for himself, so we don't get to taste it. But anyway, my brother-in-law
look at me like, Taj.
A couple of days he has cooked me some food, but anyway. And then my son hasn't said, oh, only women cook. I think it's what you said, that he's seen that my brother-in-law has cooked, and my daughter cooks on Sundays, and I go, I need you to start cooking something as well. He goes, oh, I'm going to learn how to cook from my brother-in-law, how to cook that particular burger that everyone likes. That's good. For the family. So he knows that everyone has to have, except for my husband, he goes by different rules.
Let's not talk about this, because it's making your husband look really bad.
Everyone has to cook at one point or whatever. So he's already deciding which meal he wants to cook. So it does matter what you see.
Yeah. That's
so you might want to teach them something, but if it's not putting in practice, then it's a different thing. Just like, the whole thing about if you stand in front of the mirror and you keep saying you're fat.
Yeah.
And then you're teaching your child that it's okay to eat. I don't know. Is that what I want? Yeah. Okay. And you look fine. But then if you're showing that you keep saying, like, I look fat or whatever, then that's
by the way, yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, there was a day that I think I've mentioned it previously, but we were sat watching our family program, and I have said this, and the kids took out laptops, and we're like, all four of us were on laptops. This is unacceptable, but it's behaviour that they're seeing. And it's the same with social media. When we're sat on social media, you've said it loads of times where you went through that phase where you're constant on social media, and then the kids are going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's an addiction. It really is an addiction with the screens. Like, you can see it.
So do you think culturally things are like from passing things on to the kids as well, like what we're saying about gender roles, about women going out to work? Culturally, do you think that there has been things that we've passed on to the children that are good or bad or some stuff like that?
So everything we've spoken about now has been quite negative, and I think that's an automatic thing. As soon as you start asking the question of, are we doing something that then our kids can look in, as soon as we started that topic, it was all negative stuff. But we're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. It's that parent guilt, isn't it? Of, I'm doing everything wrong. I mean, hello, they're still breathing. We must be doing something right, right?
That is true. Yeah, that
So
is true.
there was something that I did, and it's gone out of my mind now, and it's actually, oh, I remember this happened about maybe a year or 2 years ago, so it's been a while, right? And there is a point that I'm trying to make afterwards.
Get on with it.
1 second, I'll get there. 1 second. So basically, my daughter wanted some shoes, or she wanted something, I think it was shoes. And then I went and collected her, and she goes, oh, did you buy the shoes? And I'm like, no. And she was so pissed off with me. And she goes, what have you been doing all day? You've been at home, you haven't been doing anything. And I'm like, I work, right? Like, I'm running, the organization. I'm not sat at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
But she hadn't realized that. And it didn't. And I said it to my husband. I was like, this is what she said. She thinks I'm not doing anything, right? It's also the conversations that we're having with our kids. So I might be busy. I might be working. I might be doing exercise. I might be doing whatever, the housework even, right? But because we're not talking about it with our kids, they don't realize that's what we're doing. Like, she thought I was doing nothing. And then afterwards, we did, at the dinner table, we did make a point of saying, look, I'm running a business and we're doing this, and this is the sort of stuff I have to do. We need to up our games now. I'm having this conversation. I'm like, it's been a while since we've done that, but we do talk about my work a lot more than I was doing it before. So they realize that I actually do things, and my life doesn't, I know this sounds bad, my life doesn't completely revolve around everything that they say. And that's why that dinner table conversation, I realized, is really important. So you've got that opportunity to say, hey, this is what I did in my day, as well as them telling you what they've done.
See, we've had loads of conversations about this as well. We don't do the dinner table thing. We've done it once this week just because my husband wanted to do it.
He's looking really bad in this conversation.
But we have a program that we watch together, and we eat dinner together around the TV table. But then that's how we look forward to it. And then we have movie nights that we do together anyway. So, okay, I want to touch on aspects of culture as well. For example, when we were younger, we didn't do it loads, but sometimes our dad would give us a bath, and I had to comb our hair, actually. And then
why are you asking? He used to take that much hair out of our head. I mean, he definitely combed our hair.
No, because I was going to say our mum used to give us a bath, but it was our dad used to give us a bath, then he used to comb our hair.
Yeah.
And like sometimes, and then used to get oil massage as well. Are there certain things that we done in our childhood which we do now? Like, for example, with our kids?
So another thing that we used to do, just added to that, and I thought about this last week, because so we used to debate on a Saturday night.
Yeah, that used to be good.
We'd get a topic and then we'd debate it, right? And I remember that. And last week I was thinking, and at the time you didn't think anything of it. You're talking, you're sitting there. But it's the whole aspect of debating.
Yeah. The thing was, we didn't say, all right, let's sit down and debate this topic. It just happened. It just organically used to happen. And it was good because we all get our opinions across. And to be honest, my son wants to do that now. And now you're saying this, we should be doing that. I didn't think about it before, but now you've brought this up, because my daughter's doing philosophy, and she's like doing, okay, if this happens, would this happen? And he really enjoyed it, to the point of, he goes, okay, should we do it again? And I think I wasn't feeling too well on that particular weekend. So we didn't end up doing it. But now we've talked about it. Actually, we should be doing it, because that built a lot of character for us.
But then I was thinking about this. At that time, it was just family time. We just did it because it was just, we did it every Saturday. But now we have to name, let's go to debate club before it's a thing. And this is where it goes back to culture of, East versus West. Everything that they did in the East was wrong. Everything they're doing in the West is correct. Like the yoga was wrong when it was in the East, but now we're doing it in gyms. It's completely the best thing since sliced bread. And it's the same thing. We didn't call it debate club. We called it family time, but we debated. And that might be part of the reason why we're doing this, why we're having conversations about raising awareness, because we were given that platform, even when we were young, to explore our thoughts and listen to other people's perspectives. Even now, like I might not agree, and I've had it a few times where I talk to Dad and I'm like, I don't agree with his point of view on certain things, and we'll argue it out, and then he'll be like, "You're getting angry," and I'm like, "You're getting angry," right?
Yeah, you two are like stalemate.
Right? And then obviously at some point I have to back down because I like Dad won't listen, and I'm like, "My Dad, I have to listen." But it did give us that platform to have that conversation, and I'm well aware that a lot of people don't have that platform. It is a case of they have to listen to what someone else.
But I think that was really good, especially with our dad, who used to be the main person that we used to have the debates with, because as women, that gave us the voice to say, okay, it's okay to have your opinion. And now when we go into situations, for example, I'll go to places of worship where predominantly it's male orientated. Is that the right word? Yeah. And I don't mind having conversations, whereas someone else might shy away, because I have had women that I have spoken to and they're like, oh, I don't feel confident enough to go and speak to them. But we've, in our family, we've been given that your voice matters. And I think that's really important. And that's what I've done with my children as well, and especially my daughter. But I need to, I think, do it more with my son, because I think I've gone the other way around now.
That's interesting. But then do you think it makes a difference? I mean, another thing that I have found really interesting now, looking back, as Mum is quite a positive person. You know, she's been through a lot of stuff, but we will still have a laugh about things, no matter how serious it is. We will laugh at the situations. And I think that's come from her. But the question I was going to ask, and I wanted to put that in because we are very complimentary of Dad giving us that opportunity to do this X, Y, Z. And the reason I've said that is actually a lot of our personality comes from Mum, where we'll have a laugh about topics, and it is a part of resilience. And you know, like I said, she's been through a lot, but it quite clearly helped her get through things. And that's something I think we've taken on as well, which has been really, really important. But the question I was going to ask prior to saying that was, do you think it mattered that that platform for debate, for example, came from Dad rather than Mum?
Yeah, I was just thinking this while you were I thought you were going to go down this avenue, because, yeah, does it matter that a man let us do it rather than a woman? And it shouldn't, but I think it did.
Yeah.
It's a man's world, and it shouldn't be. But because a man let us talk and say, you have got this, you should have the platforms to talk, maybe that's what's gone out there. But I'm not saying that if it was the other way around, maybe it's just worked for us.
Yeah.
But then we have built, even though Mum's been doing the background things, like you said, we have got quite a lot of our personality from her. I remember, like last night, me and my husband were cooking, and I was just watching him cook because he doesn't do it very often. And I was just laughing, and he goes to me, "Oh, Miki Hasi, why do you keep laughing?" And it reminded me of what my dad sometimes says to my mum when she just randomly laughs at stuff. Yeah. And I know that made me feel good, because it made me feel like my relationship with my husband's like my mum and dad's as well. I was randomly laughing at something. And I think it is important that you build up your relationships, and that you can laugh at things, and your children should see that it's okay to laugh about random things. You don't have to have something. It doesn't have to be laughing about this. You can laugh about laughing. I don't know.
But I think the whole aspect of putting a positive spin on everything, I think is important. Like I said, that resilience piece is really there, and I think it's important. But also it's the energy then you give to other people, because Dad was less laughy. He was a lot more serious, and you know, at home it was different. Out and about, you know, he's very different. But with Mum having a laugh about stuff, you can phone him up now and he'll laugh at something. In fact, I was in I think it's Legoland, right? And I wore a hat, right, because it was quite hot that day. And then I picked up the phone to Dad, and my friend was there. And I picked up, and he was like, "Hagi baya, ha ha ha." I'm like, it's not that funny. So I laugh at things, and that energy would have come from Mum, like having a laugh at anything. Yeah. And I think it's really important, although it has got us in trouble because it means that we take things too flippantly as well. right? But then it is that whole thing of, you do take certain personality traits out of people. And again, I debate a lot with my with certain people, and I think that's come from dad, like the politics and also the experiences that I've been through and seen, and my interest in it now, which it wasn't there before.
But I think, again, that's a good thing to pass on to your children as well, being resilient. For example, if you're ill, I might get backlash from this. You shouldn't just be like, all right, there's certain circumstances like I have on the weekend when I was down, I was down.
Yeah,
But if it's a sniffle,
like the man flu.
yeah, like just get on with it.
Yeah.
Something might hurt, but when you go and work, you forget about it hurting. I'm not saying don't get it seen to, but it doesn't mean that you have to keep cutting things from your life. I think when you get to a certain age, perimenopause, something or another, I've always got something that's going on, but you've got to deal with the situation and carry on with life as well, depending on how serious the situation is, obviously.
And this goes back to obviously the topic of, are we good role models for our kids? I mean, going back to where we were before, a lot of the things that we were saying were very negative. Now we've sort of flipped it and said, actually, we are teaching them things. We are, like, the everyday things that we're going through, they're actually seeing it in live play. We just need to be making sure that what we're doing is positive.
Yeah, like for example, just back at what I was saying, my daughter, when she's going through her periods, sometimes she gets quite a lot of cramps and stuff like that. But when she's in her martial arts class, she will work. And I'm like, whoa, you're a role model to me.
Yeah.
She will just get through it. And I think that's from, she's seen me get on with things. And she's seen, obviously, if it was painful and she was like, couldn't cope with it, then that's different. But she's like, okay. And she just gets on with it. And I credit her for that. And I think, wow. And I have said to her quite a few times, I'm like, you're really good. Well done. And we should positively say, if the child does something good, we should say well done to them, because then they feel happy as well.
Do you think we say that too much? Do we think we're too complimentary to kids as well? Because we weren't complimented, and we've been quite open about this. Our parents were like, okay, yeah, you've got 95 out of 100. What happened to that 5? And I've realized I do that as well.
I do that as well. I can't help it, and I do it. And when I do it, I'm like, oh god, why do it? Why do I do it? But I do it again and do it again.
Yeah, but then the question was, do you think that was the opposite of what I was trying to say? But do we think we compliment kids and coddle them too much sometimes?
Sometimes if you put kids into too many categories, like you've got this and this, then the child, you want to try to avoid them playing up to it. For example, my son, he was diagnosed with having dyslexia. We didn't tell him for quite a while because I didn't want him to use that as the excuse not to do things.
Yeah.
And now he does know, and we've discussed it, and we're like, okay, you just have a different way of doing things. Myself and your dad have got dyslexia as well, but it doesn't mean that.
I mean, he's having that conversation because I heard him talk to my two about it as well, about that, and it wasn't a negative. It was like, oh, I've got this, I'm whatever. And the fact that he was open enough to discuss it, I thought was really interesting. I didn't say anything in that conversation, but it's interesting the fact that he mentioned it and had that discussion.
But I think that was a journey for myself as well. At first, I was like, I need to keep that away from him because I don't want him to use it as an excuse. But then I tackled it in a different way, where I was like, for example, at school, they were saying, okay, you can use a laptop. Well, his writing's pretty good. Some people's aren't, but his one it is. So I'm like, no, he doesn't need a laptop. So you need to do things that are right for your situation with anything in life. And I don't think, if you do find a diagnosis for something, for example, you need to make sure that you don't think that it will hinder you from doing things. You need to go around the situation rather than through, like my son the other day was remembering, that book, you don't go through it, you don't go under it, or something like that, or whatever. And he was saying that book, like the lines from that book. And I was like, yep, you got it in one.
Yeah.
You might have an issue, but you work your way around it. Sometimes you might not be able to, but that's not the end of the world. Everyone does things in different ways, and there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Okay, so let's bring it back. Now, with Changing Suits, we are now doing mentorship for young people.
Yep.
Right? And it's been a new thing, and we've been learning as we've been going along. We've got a staff member that covers the mentorship and the other youth sort of programs that we're doing. what have you learned from the mentorship sort of journey that we've had? And
I think the top thing that I've learned from it should I say, that quite a lot of the children that or young people that are coming across saying thank you for listening, and that is upsetting.
yeah,
That made me stop in my tracks and think, okay, I think that's what's put me watching not so much social media, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to be listened to. And if we're getting young people that feel and are saying thank you for listening, then obviously they feel that they're not being listened to. And I think that's a top thing that I've learned from our journey of working in that area with young people. Listening
yeah.
is so important, and more important for your mental health. Just more, like I would say, mental health more than anything else. And it's a simple thing, and you don't think.
The thing is, we're like, we might complain about certain things that are going on. All of us do it, complain about certain things that are going on in our life, right? But we do have a lot of privilege, and it's starting to become the sort of hindrance to us as well. Maybe we don't realize that we are privileged enough to be in the positions that we are. We know just from our parents' perspective, they went through so much to get here. They didn't have the time to spend with their kids. They
Yeah,
were busy working. We are privileged enough to actually have that time and talk, um, and discuss. We know what school is like here, whereas our parents didn't. That it was a different world. And then you take one step with the world the way it is. We are very privileged in the comforts that we do have, because a lot of people don't have them. My point is, for young people, whether it's our own kids or someone else's, from the mentorship program, for example, there's a lot that all of us can give to the younger generation, because we do have that knowledge, we do have the experience that, and we've got the two ears to listen to. Like you said, if it's about listening, we do have that to give to our next generations. So surely, if we go back to what the question of this episode is are we good role models for our young people? Well, actually, what more can we do? And there is a lot more that we can do for our young people, because they are going through a lot, but there's a big different change that we can make in their lives, right?
but you've got to understand, we're as parents, we're going through a different journey as well. We've not
Yeah,
done it before, first of all, and we're doing it different to how our parents are doing it.
yeah,
Where they wouldn't have discussed emotions and feelings, where we are doing that.
yeah. It's yeah, I think, isn't it? And even that, you're right. Like, no one tells you how to be a parent. And I was saying this to someone else the other day. I'm like, we're just sort of hoping that we get to the end of the day and everyone's okay, right? No one knows what they're doing. It's all an experiment. We've got the same 24 hours in the day as everyone else. What are we doing with that time?
I think one of the big things is we need our young people to appreciate, and we need to also, so we can do that through we appreciating what we've got.
Yeah,
For
you're right.
example, it might be the simplest thing, a roof over our heads, food to eat. It might even just be basic
Yeah,
food.
yeah,
Appreciate that we're in a country where we haven't got a war going on. I was thinking yesterday, like, there's so much happening in the world. We were sitting there watching TV again. We're so lucky that we don't need to think of, oh my God, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen there? So we need to appreciate everything in our lives.
I think, do you know what? I think that's a massive thing. And even for kids, I feel like they're less appreciative. I feel like we were the generation that did appreciate, a lot more, maybe. Um, of, I mean, I don't know. Some people I have spoken to don't appreciate. I don't know. It's a different. Everyone's got their own journey. I mean, I think we appreciate what our parents went through, and we get why they took certain decisions, and we get it. Obviously, people have their own experiences, and I get that too. But I feel like the next generation, perhaps, I don't know, maybe social media is taking so much time, because we all do it. You spend a bit of time on social media, all of a sudden that's half an hour gone, you scrolling, and that was a complete waste of time. You learnt nothing, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I completely agree with that. For example, our parents have done certain things where other people would have said, oh, trauma. But I think it's important to understand why certain things were done in certain ways. And then that makes you understand. I'm not saying this for every situation, it can never be every situation. But from our situation with our parents, I understand why they done certain things in certain ways, because they were brought up to do it that way, but they would probably do it different now,
Mm.
or they just thought it was right. Yeah, they thought it was right at that time, but they'd do it different now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we come to the end of this podcast, give me 3 things to make sure from this episode that people are listening to. What 3 things should they be taking away to make sure that they are positive role models for their children and other young people?
Listening to ourselves, giving times to ourselves to listen to ourselves, because sometimes we don't have that time to be bored and just imagine and listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
Listen to our children and our young people. I would class that as one. Second thing is appreciation of where we are and what we're doing. And the third thing is live and enjoy life.
And on that point, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.